Sports bettors, let's be real. You've been watching the NBA on your TV, sweating your parlay, refreshing your PrizePicks app vigorously, yelling at your screen, why isn't this guy going over? Why is this guy shooting like this today? Why is he playing like this today? You probably wonder how these guys are getting paid millions of dollars to play this sport professionally when you put a bet on them and it looks like they've never touched a basketball in their life. So if you are actually putting money where your mouth is, I'm going to show you how to bet on the NBA the right way without lighting your cash on fire. This is a dummy's guide to betting on the NBA. I'm going to be breaking this video into 6 different parts, with the first one being the absolute basics and understanding what the hell you're actually betting on. Now, this is a very overlooked and almost underrated tip that a lot of people don't actually use or know till this day. And I don't understand why people still are putting money on stuff that they don't know like what it is, right? So there are 3 very common types of bets that you will see within, basketball or NBA betting. The first one being, money lines. Money lines are very, easy to understand. They are literally just saying which team you think is going to win the game that night. So if you have the Warriors and the Rockets playing right tonight, if you take the Warriors money line, that's putting money that the Warriors will win against the Rockets and vice versa. Super simple, nothing else to say. That's literally it. Number 2 is point spreads. This is where it gets a little bit confusing just because point spreads, have a lot of numbers, have different signs, and some people don't know how to read it. It took me a little bit to learn too, so don't worry. Just watch this explanation and you'll be good. So point spreads. Vegas gives the underdog a head start. Like if the Lakers were minus 5.5, that means they need to win by 6 or more. So almost think of it like a handicap. And if you're taking the Warriors plus 5.5, that means they can lose by 5 or just win the game, and you would still win the bet. Does that make sense, right? If you just kind of keep practicing that and applying it to, the different numbers, the different teams, and just doing it on your own time, you'll get it, super quick. It's really not that complicated at all. It's literally just a handicap to whether the underdog or the favorite will win or lose the game. It's almost like a variation of a money line, but just by a certain number of points. And the next one, the third one, is probably the most popular type of bet, and it's the over-under player props. On apps like PrizePicks, Underdog, Dabble, these apps literally only give us the option to play player props, not even the points, spreads or any of the money lines, right? So whether Steph Curry is going to go over 20 points tonight or under 20 points tonight, you basically guess if he's going to go over or under. Betting overs and unders can also apply to things like total points scored. So for the sake of example, again, the Warriors and Rockets, if they play tonight and they're over under total line or total points, prop is at 215.5. You either bet the over or the under, right? So if you bet the over, you're rooting for a high scoring game, high paced game. If you're betting the under, you're, rooting for a lot of bricks, very slow offense, and good defense. Part number 2 is to learn how to not be a fanboy. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Warriors fan, which is, I don't know if you could tell, which is why I'm using them in every example. I love Steph Curry, been a Steph Curry fan my entire life. But that doesn't mean just because I love Steph Curry or if I love the Warriors, that doesn't mean I'm going to take, or put money on Steph Curry's over or the Warriors to win the game tonight. Obviously, sometimes I will, right? Either if it's for fun or if there's value there. But bottom line is, emotion is your enemy. If you are using your emotion to place bets, you will be a negative returning sports bettor in the long run. You're not going to make any money. You want to be calculated, using math, using profitable sports betting strategies, and catching value, playing with an edge only. You never want to have any emotions in your sports betting. Speaking of value, this leads me to part 3 of understanding odds and the importance of them. Odds matter a lot. You want value, not just winners, right? Like a minus 300 prop might be super favored to win, but is it really worth risking $300 to win $100? There's a concept called implied probability. It also ties to positive EV plus EV, line shopping. All of these things are strategies that give us an edge to find value, right? This whole thing is about finding value to play with an edge over these sports books, because if you didn't know, these sports books, they're not, built off winners. Vegas was not built off winners. They're always playing you at a disadvantage, so the only way to actually beat them long term is to play with the advantage over them. That's why, they'll introduce a lot of things like limits and bans to profitable sports bettors. A super easy way to implement, line shopping or these profitable sports betting strategies, catching implied odds, all of these things, is to use a tool that does it for you, right? OddsJam is a great one. I've been using them for a very long time. You can also get 35% off just by using the link in the description and using code JC35. It also comes with a 7-day free trial, so no strings attached. You can try it out. If it doesn't work for you, you don't have to, there's no commitment, right? It's literally just no strings attached. If we jump over to the OddsJam software here, we literally have this tool called the Fantasy Optimizer. It makes line shopping super easy, right? So we can see that if the rest of the market has a certain prop favored or there's value there where we can play on prize picks with fixed payouts, it makes things very easy for us because it literally scrapes data from the thousands of sports books, gathers information, and puts the implied probability or percentage chance to hit right there smack in the middle for you. It also has a positive EV tool with a super easy to use UI interface, right? User interface, whatever you call it. It tells you the EV percentage that you're taking compared to the rest of the market, the props, the sports books. Everything is there for you. You can play with your filters, all of those things that you need to actually implement these profitable sports betting strategies. It makes it super easy for you, so definitely check out OddsJam, give them a try. They've made me a lot of money. Best decision of my life. That's literally how I made, over 20 grand just from the NBA in profit all of last year. So definitely check it out. It's going to help you if it helps me. So this brings me to part number 4 of betting smarter, not harder. Right? When I just mentioned line chopping with OddsJam, this is probably one of the smartest ways that you can actually start betting. This also ties back to when I said emotions are your worst enemy. So instead of picking props based off what you think, pick the props that are based off value that you're getting a discount for. So if the rest of the market has, for sake of example again, I promise, Steph Curry's over 5.5 assists. If the rest of the market has that favored over at -160, maybe even more, -170, and Prize Picks is offering the same exact line, but for even payout. Basically, like, no matter whether you take the over or the under, you're still gonna get paid the exact same amount. So that's a lot of value there to play on Prize Picks versus playing it on, another book that's gonna pay you less for taking it at -160 or -170, right? So line shopping, doing things like this, is a very smart way to actually start being a profitable bettor, to play with an edge, and to kind of introduce yourself to playing with the edge over Vegas to catching value. Because I know it's a very deep rabbit hole that you can go into of, all of these different strategies, all of these different formulas and math, tracking your bets, all of these things. It can be very intimidating, very overwhelming. Line shopping with Prize Picks and OddsJam is a very easy way, a very refreshing way to kind of introduce yourself to the world of profitable sports betting. So another way you can start betting smarter is by tracking all of your bets. Write it down. Don't just YOLO every single game. You need data to learn, right? So writing down your bets, tracking your bets, figuring out what works for you, what's not working for you is also a great strategy that you can use, right? Because what works for me might not work for you. It's based on the person, based on how much effort you're putting in. So tracking your bets, figuring out what you like to do, what works for you, what's making you money. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Very easy way to track your bets also is with an app called Pickit. You can sync every single sportsbook that you have, and it automatically tracks every single bet you place, how much money you're putting on, each bet, and all of your profits and losses. So it's a great way. I don't have a code or anything like that. It's not sponsored. It's just what I use personally to track my bets. So I don't have to use like a spreadsheet or anything like that. Part number 5 is about parlays. Parlays are Vegas's favorite trick against you, right? Betting on the NBA can be very almost tempting to put 5 or 6 legs together, maybe even more, to turn $10 into $500, to turn $20 into $2,000, right? You know how the world of parlays works, that little number payout on the bottom of the screen. It's very misleading because they're fun, right? Who doesn't like placing a fun parlay to try to 20x your money, right? Parlays are fun, but they're dangerous. There is a correct way and an optimal way to play parlays, to use parlays to bet with parlays, right? Instead of just straights. I have a YouTube video explaining how to beat Prize Picks with math. In that video, I explained the most optimal types of parlays to use and how you can actually use parlays to basically guarantee yourself to be a profitable sports bettor in the very long term. So if you want to check that video out, leave a link to it in my description, right? But literally I'm just explaining, the different bet slip types, the 2-leg, 3-leg, 4-leg, 5-leg, 6-leg, all on Prize Picks, and how you can actually start using them, to catch an edge, to play with an edge, and which bet types, which slip types are right for you in different situations. A lot of people tend to voice against parlays, but that's just because they don't know that parlays can actually work in your favor. But if you're not using, the optimal parlay type on fixed payout platforms like Prize Picks, Underdog, and you're, parlays all these parlays on DraftKings, FanDuel, sometimes, there are strategies where, the parlay can be giving you an edge, right? Sometimes with odd boosters, sometimes with positive EV parlays. Those are all fine. Those are all good. But a lot of the times it's a lot easier to track and be more consistent and see a lot better results when you're playing straights like money lines over-unders, right? So yeah, bottom line is parlays, they can be very advantageous to you when you are doing them correctly, when you're correctly taking positive EV stances, when you're using the correct type of slip on fixed payout systems like PrizePicks and Underdog, right? They can be very advantageous and work in your favor when you're using them correctly. However, if you are not using them correctly and you're just trying to turn $10 into $20,000, you are most likely not going to be profitable in the long run. And my last and final part of this video is bankroll management. What is bankroll management and how does it apply to your betting? Bankroll is literally just the amount of money that you are allocating towards sports betting, towards gambling, towards betting, whatever you want to call it. It's just the amount of money that you're okay with losing. Similarly, when you're investing, everyone always tells you don't invest what you can't lose, what you're not okay with losing, right? Because sometimes things aren't going to go your way. If you somehow lost all of your money, you would need to be okay with that, right? That's what your bankroll is. And similarly, a subset of your bankroll is called a unit. A unit is the amount of money that you're putting on every single pick or every single parlay, every single slip that you place. How do you calculate your unit size? You use something called the Kelly criterion formula. Now, OddsJam has a calculator for that. I'll leave a link to it as well in the description. But very simply put, it's just 1 to 5% of your bankroll. So if you had a $1,000 bankroll, your unit would be $10 to $30. Now, with the units, you want to be very consistent with them. I wouldn't be putting $30 on 3 slips and then $10 on 3 slips. Just be a little bit more consistent with them, right? If your unit size is 20 bucks, put $20 on every single slip, because when you are using, plus EV or different strategies, it's a lot easier to track how consistent your profits will be in the long run and over time when you are consistent with your unit size. So never take out a loan, don't bet your rent money, just be smart with your bankroll and your units and how you're using them, right? This also ties back to when I said emotions are going to be your worst enemy. You need to learn how to take a loss. Bankroll management isn't just figuring out a bankroll and figuring out a unit size. It's also learning how to take L's, because let's say for the first 2 parlays that you put in or the 2 picks that you put in are losses. That's fine. That doesn't mean you need to put 4 units on the next slip to get even, or what I like to call it, get even or get even worse, right? That doesn't mean, oh, I'm trying to make my money back, I need to get even, I'm gonna put 3, 4, 5 units on this next slip. Because trust me, take it from me as someone that has lost all of their bankroll in 1 slip before, don't do it. It can be so easy to, get confident as well on the other end of things, right? After winning 3 slips, right? You made $500. Now you're gonna go put $2,000 on the next slip because you think it's a lock or you're very confident. And next thing you know, you just lost all of your profit for the past 3 days, right? So bottom line is, be smart with how you manage your money, with how you use your bankroll, and you will see, a lot more consistency with your profits. So yes, NBA betting can be a blast. It's very fun, and it's also very profitable if you're doing it correctly, but only if you do it smart. So this was your crash course. If you're still confused, don't worry. You can DM me on Instagram @ShoyCooks or leave a comment. I will be responding to as many as I can. But yeah, I'll have more videos breaking everything down step by step. This was just your crash course. This was a dummy's guide to betting on the NBA. I hope it helped. I hope you learned something. And if you did, leave a comment. Like I said, like the video, subscribe, turn your notification bells on, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Peace out.